What if I told you that the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, once warned his followers about 6 extraordinary types of women, women whose appearance would not just shock society, but would actually signal that the day of judgment is drawing near? Imagine, for a moment, that these signs are not just distant prophecies, but realities unfolding right before our eyes. Most Muslims have never heard this chilling hadith, and even fewer understand the deep wisdom and warning hidden within it. Why did the Prophet single out these 6 types? What do they represent, and why are they so significant that their emergence marks the approach of the world's final hour? Today, we're about to uncover a secret that has been whispered through the centuries, a prophecy that holds urgent lessons for every believer. Stay with us, because by the end of this journey, you'll not only know the 6 types, but you'll also see the world around you in a completely new light. Are you ready to discover what most people have never dared to ask? The answers are more relevant and more urgent than ever before. Close your eyes and imagine the world at the time of the Prophet Muhammad. The air was filled with the recitation of the Quran, hearts were united in faith, and the streets of Medina echoed with the footsteps of the righteous. There was a sense of peace, a purity in the way people lived, and a deep respect for the boundaries set by Allah. The companions of the Prophet would gather in the mosque, eager to learn, to worship, and to serve. It was a time when truth was clear from falsehood, and the light of guidance shone brightly over the darkness of ignorance. But the Prophet also spoke of a time that would come much later, a time when the world would be turned upside down. He described an age when confusion would reign, when the lines between right and wrong would blur, and when the hearts of people would grow distant from the teachings of Islam. He warned of a world where modesty would fade, where arrogance and materialism would spread, and where the very fabric of society would be tested by temptations never seen before. The peace and unity of early Islam would be replaced by chaos, division, and a desperate search for meaning. As we look around today, it's hard not to feel a chill run down our spines. So many of the signs the Prophet described have already appeared. The spread of immorality, the rise of false leaders, the loss of trust, and the glorification of wealth and fame. Every headline, every viral trend, seems to echo the warnings given over 1,400 years ago. Are we living in those times now? The question lingers, heavy with suspense, as we prepare to uncover the 6 signs that may be unfolding right before our eyes. The warning about these 6 women is not a rumor or a legend. It comes directly from the words of the Prophet Muhammad, preserved in the authentic collections of Hadith. Imagine the scene: the Prophet, surrounded by his companions, his face filled with both compassion and concern, sharing glimpses of the future that would shake even the strongest hearts. Among these prophecies, he described specific types of women whose emergence would be a sign that the world was approaching its final chapter. These words were not spoken lightly. They were delivered with a sense of urgency, as if the Prophet was reaching across time to warn us, his distant Ummah, about dangers we might not even recognize. The Hadith is found in collections such as Sahih Muslim and others, narrated by Abu Huraira and other trusted companions. The chain of narration is strong, passed down by those who dedicated their lives to preserving every word and gesture of the Messenger of Allah. In these narrations, the Prophet described women who would imitate men, those who would reveal their beauty, and others whose actions would defy the boundaries set by Allah. Each description is precise, each warning layered with meaning, and each word chosen to awaken the hearts of believers. Why did the Prophet emphasize these particular signs? Because he knew that the health of a society is reflected in the character of its people, and especially in the roles and values of its women. When these boundaries are crossed, it signals a deeper spiritual crisis, a crisis that threatens not just individuals, but entire communities. The seriousness in the Prophet's voice, the gravity in his words, should make every listener pause and reflect. This is not just history. It is a living warning echoing through the centuries, calling us to wake up before it's too late. The first type of woman the Prophet Muhammad warned us about is the one who imitates men, whether in her dress, her speech, or her behavior. This warning is not about superficial differences or harmless preferences. It is about a deeper shift in identity and purpose. The Prophet said, "Allah curses those men who imitate women and those women who imitate men." These are not just words of caution, they are a clear boundary, a red line that, when crossed, signals a profound disturbance in the natural order Allah has created. But what does it mean to imitate men? It goes beyond simply wearing men's clothing or adopting a certain hairstyle. It is about erasing the unique qualities and strengths that Allah has given to each gender. In today's world, we see a growing trend where the lines between masculinity and femininity are blurred. Women are encouraged to adopt the mannerisms, ambitions, and even the physical appearance of men, often in the name of empowerment or equality. The world tells us that to be strong, a woman must act like a man. But the Prophet taught us that true strength lies in embracing the identity Allah has given us, not in abandoning it. This trend is everywhere, on social media, in movies, in the workplace, and even in our schools. We see women dressing in ways that erase their femininity, speaking and behaving with aggression, and sometimes even taking pride in rejecting the roles that Islam honors for them. The danger is not just in the outward appearance, but in the loss of the unique spiritual and emotional gifts that women bring to their families and communities. When these gifts are suppressed or replaced, society loses its balance, and the home loses its warmth. Could this be happening around us right now? Are we witnessing the very sign the Prophet warned about unfolding in our own communities? The answer is not just in the headlines, but in the subtle shifts we see every day. The Prophet's warning is a call to reflect. Are we upholding the dignity and honor of women as Allah intended, or are we chasing trends that lead us away from our true purpose? The consequences are not just personal, they ripple through families, communities, and ultimately, the entire Ummah. The second type of woman the Prophet Muhammad warned us about is the one who reveals her beauty in public, abandoning the sacred shield of modesty that Islam so lovingly prescribes. In the Hadith, the Prophet described women who would be clothed yet naked, covered in fabric, yet exposing their adornments, their bodies, and their charms for all to see. This is not just a matter of fashion or personal choice. It is a sign of a deeper spiritual crisis, a turning away from the values that protect both the individual and the community. Islamic modesty is not about restriction, but about honor and dignity. The hijab, the loose clothing, the careful guarding of one's beauty, these are not burdens, but shields. They are gifts from Allah, designed to preserve the purity of the heart and the sanctity of relationships. When a woman covers herself, she is not hiding her worth. She is declaring that her value is far greater than what the eye can see. She is choosing to be known for her character, her faith, and her intellect, rather than her physical appearance. But look at the world around us today. The pressure to reveal, to display, to attract attention is everywhere. Social media is filled with images that celebrate exposure and self-promotion. Fashion trends push the boundaries of decency further every year. The message is clear. To be noticed, to be valued, a woman must show more and more of herself. This is the very opposite of what the Prophet taught. The consequences are not just personal, they are societal. When modesty is lost, so too is the sense of trust, respect, and safety that binds a community together. The Prophet's warning was not just for the women of his time, but for every generation. He saw the pain and confusion that would come when the lines of modesty were erased. He knew that when beauty is put on display for the world, hearts become restless, desires are inflamed, and the peace of the home is threatened. The wisdom behind his words is clear. Modesty is not just a garment, but a protection for the soul. Are we witnessing this sign today? Are we, as a society, drifting further from the wisdom that once made us strong? The answer lies in the choices we make every single day. The third type of woman the Prophet Muhammad warned us about is the one who styles her hair in ways that are designed to attract attention, so much so that the Prophet described them as having heads like the humps of camels. At first glance, this might seem like a small detail, almost trivial compared to the greater signs of the end times. But why did the Prophet single out this image? What is the deeper meaning behind this vivid description? In the time of the Prophet, women's hair was considered a symbol of beauty and femininity, something to be cherished and protected. The command to cover the hair was not just about modesty, but about preserving a woman's dignity and shielding her from unwanted attention. Yet, the Prophet foresaw a time when women would not only uncover their hair, but would go to great lengths to style it in exaggerated, attention-grabbing ways, piling it high, adding volume, or creating shapes that would make them stand out in a crowd. The hump of a camel is not just a metaphor for a hairstyle. It is a symbol of pride, of seeking to be noticed, and of prioritizing appearance over inner worth. Today, this prophecy feels almost eerily accurate. The beauty industry thrives on new trends that encourage women to spend hours perfecting their hair, using products and techniques to achieve looks that are meant to turn heads. Social media is filled with tutorials and images that celebrate these styles, making it easy to forget the spiritual consequences. The desire to be seen, to be admired, can slowly erode the humility and modesty that Islam so beautifully upholds. But the Prophet's warning is not just about hair. It is about the dangers of seeking validation from others, of letting pride and vanity take root in the heart. When a woman's goal becomes attracting attention, she risks losing sight of her true value in the eyes of Allah. The spiritual consequences are profound. A heart that chases the approval of people becomes restless, never satisfied, always needing more. The Prophet singled out this detail to remind us that even the smallest choices can reveal the state of our souls. Are we living for the gaze of others, or for the pleasure of our Creator? The answer to this question shapes not just our appearance, but our entire destiny. The fourth type of woman the Prophet Muhammad warned us about is the one who is disobedient to her husband or her parents, undermining the very foundation of the family. In Islam, the family is not just a social unit, it is a sacred trust, a place where love, respect, and mercy are meant to flourish. The Prophet described the home as a garden of tranquility, where each member fulfills their role with kindness and humility, and where the rights of others are honored above personal desires. When this balance is maintained, the home becomes a source of strength, a shield against the storms of the outside world. But what happens when this harmony is broken? When a woman rejects the guidance of her parents or the leadership of her husband, the entire structure begins to crumble. Disobedience is not just about defiance. It is about the erosion of trust, the loss of respect, and the spread of resentment. The Prophet saw the danger in this long before modern society began to question the wisdom of family roles. He knew that when the bonds of obedience and respect are severed, chaos and confusion quickly take their place. Today, we see this warning playing out in countless homes. Arguments escalate into silence, love turns into bitterness, and children grow up in an environment of tension and instability. The world encourages rebellion in the name of independence, but the result is often loneliness and regret. The stories are everywhere. A daughter who turns her back on her parents, a wife who mocks her husband's efforts, a family torn apart by pride and stubbornness. Each story is a reminder that the prophets' words were not just for the past, they are a living warning for our generation. Is this a warning for us? Are we witnessing the unraveling of the family, the very institution that once held our communities together? The answer is painfully clear in the rising rates of divorce, the growing distance between parents and children, and the loneliness that so many feel even in a house full of people. The prophet called us to something higher, a home built on love, respect, and obedience to Allah. When we lose sight of this, we risk losing everything that truly matters. The choice is ours, and the consequences reach far beyond our own lives. The fifth type of woman the Prophet Muhammad warned us about is the one who flaunts her wealth, beauty, or status to impress others. In every age, there have been those who seek validation through what they possess, but today, this temptation is amplified like never before. Social media has turned our lives into a stage where every outfit, every luxury, every moment of glamour is displayed for the world to see. The pursuit of likes, followers, and admiration has become a daily obsession, and the line between self-worth and public approval grows thinner with every post. But the Prophet saw the emptiness behind this glittering facade. He knew that pride and materialism are traps that lead only to disappointment and spiritual poverty. When a woman's heart becomes attached to showing off, she loses sight of the blessings Allah has given her. The joy of gratitude is replaced by the anxiety of comparison, and the peace of contentment is shattered by the endless need to outshine others. The world may applaud her for her beauty or her possessions, but inside, she feels a growing sense of emptiness, a hunger that nothing in this world can satisfy. The wisdom of the prophets' warning is clear. True honor and happiness do not come from what we display, but from what we hold in our hearts. The fleeting praise of people is nothing compared to the lasting pleasure of Allah. Are we chasing a mirage, sacrificing our peace for the approval of strangers? The answer is a sobering reminder that the path of the show-off leads only to loneliness and regret, while the path of humility leads to a joy that can never be taken away. The final type of woman the Prophet Muhammad warned us about is perhaps the most unsettling of all, the one who outwardly appears religious, but whose worship is empty, insincere, or even hypocritical. She may be seen in the mosque, dressed modestly, reciting Quran, or speaking about faith, but her heart is far from Allah. Her actions are performed for the eyes of people, not for the pleasure of her Creator. This is the danger of superficial religiosity, a mask of piety that hides a soul untouched by true faith. The Prophet taught us that Allah does not look at our outward appearances, but at our hearts and our intentions. True faith is not measured by how much we show, but by how deeply we feel and how sincerely we act. The false worshipper is a warning to every believer. It is possible to fool the world, but never Allah. The contrast is stark. While the sincere worshipper finds peace, humility, and closeness to Allah, the hypocrite is left restless, always seeking approval, always fearing exposure. How can we protect ourselves from falling into this trap? The answer lies in constant self-reflection, in renewing our intentions, and in seeking Allah's forgiveness for our shortcomings. It means asking ourselves, who am I when no one is watching? Do I pray for Allah or for the praise of others? The Prophet's warning is a call to purify our hearts, to seek sincerity above all else, and to remember that the greatest reward is not in being seen by people, but in being loved by Allah. In a world obsessed with appearances, this is the sign we cannot afford to ignore. As we look around at the world today, it's impossible not to feel a sense of urgency. Do we see these signs unfolding before our very eyes? Are the warnings of the Prophet Muhammad no longer distant prophecies, but realities shaping our daily lives? Each of these 6 types of women is not just a description from the past, but a mirror held up to our present. How many times have we witnessed the blurring of gender roles, the rise of immodesty, the obsession with appearance, the breakdown of families, the race for attention, and the emptiness of insincere worship? These are not just issues for other people or other societies. They are challenges that touch every community, every home, and every heart. The Prophet's words are a call to wake up, to look within, and to ask ourselves, am I contributing to these signs, or am I striving to protect myself and my loved ones from them? Now is the time to seek forgiveness, to renew our intentions, and to return to the path of sincerity and obedience. The day of judgment draws nearer with every passing moment. Let us not be among those who ignored the warning. The lesson from these prophetic warnings is clear. Our salvation lies in sincerity, modesty, and unwavering obedience to Allah's guidance. True faith is not about outward appearances or chasing the approval of others, but about nurturing a heart that seeks only the pleasure of our Creator. Modesty is our shield, sincerity is our light, and obedience is our path to peace in this world and the next. O Allah, protect us from pride, hypocrisy, and the temptations that lead us astray. Purify our hearts, strengthen our faith, and grant us the wisdom to recognize and avoid the signs of the end times. Make us among those who uphold your guidance with humility and sincerity, and who inspire goodness in our families and communities. Keep us steadfast on the straight path, and grant us your mercy on the day when nothing will matter except your forgiveness. Ameen. If this message touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful stories. Share your thoughts below. Which of these signs do you see around you, and how can we protect ourselves and our families? Let's learn, reflect, and grow together as an Ummah. If you found this story eye-opening, please like, comment, and subscribe to join our growing community. Share your reflections below. Which of these signs do you notice in today's world? What steps can we take to protect ourselves and our loved ones? Let's support each other on this journey.